educated. So that, Guru Maharaj always likes that quality when he sees that. That's why he said, I liked Ramachandra and Radharani. He said, Krishna, he's the enjoyer, you know, supreme enjoyer. Like, so he's saying initially, Krishna was not at the top of his list. But Ramachandra, the sacrifice, he gives up his wife and everything for the citizens. Radharani, the ultimate personification of Atma Samarpanam, self-giving, self-sacrifice, Anaya Radhito Nunam, Bhagavan Hari Ishvara. That's how she can, Bhagavan Hari, steal Krishna. Also with her Manohar Ladus, her mind-stealing ladus, infused with her, they're infused with her total heart and self-giving. Of course, Krishna cannot resist that. So Guru Maharaj always admired that. This is Thailand. That was Indian culture, this is Thai culture. The gopi arts are still alive here. Support these people whenever you can. Every day for 20 baht, I buy a garland, put it on the mirror in the car. I now know many flower sellers. They see me come in. I beep the horn, they run, you know. Sometimes I give them extra. Oh, look at that. That's a gopi art. Brahma Samhita, 64 arts of the Braja Gopis. Floral arrangements. And also how to make beds out of flowers. One of the Astasakis, Champak Lata. Leelavati, when she was initiated, I named her Champak Lata. Right? And I could see, I have something here. I could see that was going to be difficult. Chinese, you know, Champak Lata. So I said, you know, I could change your name. She said, no, whatever you say. But I thought, you know, I said, I'm changing your name to Leelavati. Dandavad Ekadashi. Right? So it turns out, and I know the good champaks, I understand, I want to have those trees too. But also these, here, what in India they call, Bengalis call Goloka champak. Here, remember I called her Champak Lata, like Champahati. She's an Astasaki, one of the 8 principal gopis, and you can understand her connection with flowers. So I changed her name to Leelavati, not knowing that the Thai name for Goloka Champak is Leelavati. Thank you very much. So anyway, what was I saying about Mangal Mars to Radharani? There was a point I was going to make. Oh, in school, right. So this boy who was like full of dedicating tendency, Guru Maharaj is very charmed by him. And he wants his association. They're like probably 18, 19 years old. So every morning they go to brush their teeth, probably with twigs or whatever, you know, they sit there, they're students, it's a group activity. Jai Vijay Raman Prabhu Ki Jai, the father of the Russian mission. Vijay is our affectionate well-wisher. And I always want, you know, babushkas are very famous, the babushka Vrinda and every, you know, Bhakti Vrinda. But I don't even know what the word for grandfather is. Huh? Dead? A dead bushka is a grandfather. Wow, that's heavy. Oh, debushka. Dedushka. Oh, okay, not a dead bushka, because that, you know, because that, you know, the Russian women are very hard on the men. So like Russian women live to be like 70 and Russian men live to be like 52 or something, you know. Yeah, he's 84. Vijay, 85 years old, Vijay Raman. You can see he's a yogi. He was doing yoga when Satya and Avadut were kids, right? They showed me books from Vijay when they were children. So anyway, that student, they're out there brushing their teeth, and they're having some conversation. He says, you know, he's like, that gentleman's house that I live in, he's made some comments, and he's talking about his home and his father. And Guru Maharaj said, that's not the way you should speak about that gentleman's house I live in. You shouldn't speak about your father like that. That is not respectful. You know. And he said, that's true, what you say is correct. He said, but really, the soul is going from birth after birth, from one species to another, life after life. And for some time, I'm in that gentleman's house with his wife and spending some time there. And Guru Maharaj said, those words, they struck my heart. And then Guru Maharaj said, he made a vow. What I was actually talking about is saying the truth. Guru Maharaj said, he made a vow when he was a college student. He said, from this day forward, I will always and only speak the truth. And, because remember I said Mangal Mars couldn't lie? That's where this comes from. So he said, I will always and only speak the truth. And then he said this, he said, and the world became like a ball of play in my hand. He said that. By meaning, I will always and only speak the truth. So, that's a wonderful thing, that's Guru Maharaj. But Srila Gurudev, as Guru Maharaj said in his final words to me, he goes, in many ways, you may find Govinda Maharaj is superior to me, more qualified. But it's a double entendre of it. Right? And we'll get to the higher things a little later. But one thing he means is in dealing with people. Like Gurudev said about dealing with all of us, his disciples, followers, and friends. He said, after dealing with all of you, he said, nothing surprises me. Nothing. He said, there's only one thing that surprises me, that they're chanting Hare Krishna in China. He said, but nothing else surprises me. So, there are times, I'll just say it bluntly, he needed Srila Guru Maharaj to lie. Now you might go, isn't this a spiritual institution? And you're talking about the head gurus are sometimes lying. You know? And I could say it's a tradition. And the Krishna told Arjun, to say Ashwatthama is dead. That's a lie. So it's in the Krishna tradition. Lying is acceptable in service. In the aftermath of Sri Gaudiya Math, I know I'm going to say so many things in this lecture, and the only thing people are going to come away with and goes, Goswami Maharaj said we can lie. I'm going to talk about Krishna's flute and and they go, he said we can lie. So, in the Gaudiya Math, after Saraswati Thakur left the world, they split into factions, and one group went this, and then there were legal cases, and it went on for Prabhupada talked about it. He said it's been going on for 40 years. And that was in the 60s. There's still court cases going on, right? One person had his child educated to become a lawyer to save money on legal fees. That's how long it went on. Understand? He was a kid, went to school, went to college, had him become a lawyer so he could save a few rupees. So anyway, they would have court cases. They're having one court case. So Ananta Vasudev Prabhu, he's representing one side, and Tirtha Maharaj, Kunjaba, and the others on the other side. Right? So they went to the lawyers trying to trap Tirtha Maharaj into saying that he lied. And that means cheated and did illegal things, So, as I say, at one point, they're interviewing different devotees, and you have to say your name, and your father's name. Like on Prabhupada's passport to America, when I opened the Elmira at ISKCON Press, looked in there and I'm looking at his passport, and where it said Father He wrote Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati as his father. And in the end, they go like, yeah, of course, you must be telling that. You know, that's so beautiful. That. And we'll mention some of that later about Srila Gurudev dealing with them. But so anyway, so one devotee, you know, they're interviewing him and they go like, state your name, you know, like Krishna Das, right? And your father's name, Bhakti Prasad Puri. So Anantavasa, he became a Maharaja, and Guru, so he became Bhakti Prasad Puri. And he goes, no, your father's name. He goes, Prasad Puri. And he goes, no, please, sir, tell me your father's name. Prasad Puri. And he goes, Prasad Puri Kachori Samosa. What is your father's name? Because he's going, Prasad Puri. He goes, no. Look. His name is Bhakti Prasad Puri. Oh, all right, then let the record state Bhakti Prasad Puri. You know. And then they get him to admit, then they bring Tirtha Maharaj, and he admits that he lied and cheated. And Vasudeva, his team, they go, we've got him. And Vasudeva says, no, not over this. He said, he lied in service to Prabhupada. So he goes, we worship that. This will not but be what we take him down over. Understand the quality before we say a cross word about the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Understand, Prabhupada once said, some devotees tried to chime in on something. He goes, you cannot say that. I call them rascal. He goes, you cannot. He said, I can say that. I'm their God. You cannot say. And he said, my Guru Maharaj did not initiate rascals, meaning like you. And that's not, his disciples are not, you know, street urchins and, you know, people collected at a hippie festival. Right? These are highly qualified Vaishnavas. So, and you see in their dealings, even when they were having conflict, they maintained their Vaishnavata. It's very peculiar. It's lilik. So they're fighting all the time, these two sides. And Guru Maharaj was never really on either side, right? And they know that, as he told, he has this quality called disinterested. And people misunderstand that word often in modern English because it sounds like lacking interest. That's not, disinterested means impartial. Doesn't have an interest, means, what? Like something, huh? Motive. Not motive, but there's another word for, you know, huh?
Like
Profit, like that. But I'm saying, so disinterested means you're impartial. So they know Guru Maharaj can hear both sides and then give you a judicial response. Just like, and he told the secret to this, and we can use this when we're, you know, you're saying, someone's saying something and you've got another opinion. Guru Maharaj's advice is, try and understand why they think like that. Don't just go, and they said this, and, you know. He said, better, you try and understand why they believe that. And to the point where you could see why they would believe it. And he told the story of this famous Bengali lawyer who was in court. He was also a notorious drunkard. So he came to court drunk, and he gives this incredible argument, and his assistant starts pulling at his, and he's like, what? And he goes, that's their side. That's the other side's side. And he goes, oh. Then he goes, Your Honor, this is what they could say. Then he defeats that. So Guru said, like, so it's like he believed that, and now he's told, no, that's their, and like, okay, now I will defeat what I just said. They had nothing to say after that. So that's Guru Maharaj's way. He can hear two sides. Really he can. He's saying, no, come on, people just pretend that they don't have any, you know, that they're unbiased. Right? He can be. And he can keep his own opinion to himself. And just two warring parties, bring them together and they know that. So they come to him. Ananta Vasudeva and the two sides. It's the Gaudiya Mat, right? And Srila Gurudev is there. He's like, probably, how old would he be at that time? Anyway, he's a teenager to early 20s, basically. And he's Guru Maharaj's assistant. So Guru Maharaj effected a compromise. And what it was, so they have all these mats. So he told Tirtha Maharaj, you take Chaitanya Mat in Mayapur. Because the idea, you get that, and then you get the things in the other parts of India. And the other side, you get the Bagh Bazar Mat in Kolkata, but you get the other mats in Bengal. Something like this. And Tirtha Maharaj was not accepting it. He thought he's being snookered, for lack of a better word. But hoodwinked, or I can't think of a modern word. Like that it was not the best choice. So they had to send them to Guru, and Guru Maharaj says, no, and you can see he's right. You want the Chaitanya Mat. That's the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. You want that. The other things are not so significant. We see now, everyone goes there in Mayapur. Who goes to the Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Mat? And I've been there twice in my life. So Guru Maharaj convinces Tirtha Maharaj why he should accept this. So he's now accepting. Now they're going to have some, as Gurudev would say, some snacks and refreshments, like a little prasad to conclude the, now it's going to be happy times and everything. And Gurudev, he's serving everybody. Srila Govinda Maharaj. Imagine, he's very young. He's Guru Maharaj's servitor, as he always likes to say. I am Guru Maharaj's servitor. Maybe president, Sevite, Acharya, but the emphasis on the word Sevite. He may serve as, if he's required to serve as Acharya, he will do that. If he's required to clean the latrine or the toilet, he does that. Happily, he's eager for the service of the holy lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj. So he's serving everyone. And Vasudeva, because these are Bengalis, and like Gurudev said in his final word to me and Madhusudha Maharaj once, and he goes, like, I'll tell you one thing, I never trust the Bengalis. Never. Said it emphatically. And I'm sitting there, he's on his disappearance bed, and I go, he sees the look on my face, because I'm going, but aren't, and he goes, he knows I've already fallen into his trap, because he wants to say something funny. But and true. It's funny, but there's always profound truth in his humor. It's never just for the sake of it. So he goes, I never trust a Bengali. And he said, whatever they say, I am the opposite of that. Which I must say is like a classic Bengali thing to say. Whatever they say, the opposite of that. Like that Mexican comedian Janardhan Maharaj talks about, where he says, I'm neither counting floss. I'm neither for it nor against it, but just the opposite. This kind of mind-bending stuff. So Gurudev said, whatever they say, I am the opposite of that. I do not trust Bengalis. And I'm looking at it. And he goes, Guru Maharaj, Swami Maharaj, and myself, not bad. And I said, that is real Guru Varga. And he just laughed and he goes, not bad. But anyway, so Ananta Vasudeva, he's suspicious. He's thinking, all right, this is going really smoothly, and now and so they eat, but then Govinda Maharaj comes with the rasgola, the sweet balls and Vasudeva Prabhu says, no, I will not. And this is why they so much praise Srila Guru. Imagine, he's very young. These are the most experienced, qualified Vaishnavas on the planet. And he's a young boy, but he's Guru Maharaj's servitor, and he's Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj. He understands so much more than we can ever imagine. He can read a situation, he can read people, he can know what they're thinking. You can see their hearts. So he goes to Guru Maharaj and he says, Guru Maharaj says, so how's it going on? Everything is going very well. He said, but Vasudev Prabhu will not accept Rasgola. And even Guru Maharaj is going, why? And Gurudev said, because he thinks it's poisoned. That this big happy thing, then they give him the poison Rasgola, and he drops dead. So he won't take the Rasgola. Guru Maharaj, thinking. And this is, man, that's Guru Maharaj, all of them, and Gurudev, how young he, and he said, but Maharaj, I think if you offer it to him, he'll accept it. Then Guru Maharaj gets up, takes the Rasgola, and goes to Vasudeva Prabhu, and Vasudeva Prabhu happily accepts that. So think about it, also this. What moments before he is almost certain will kill him. Right? It's a life and death decision here. Moments before, he's certain that I take this, I'm dead, I drop dead. But no harm will ever come to me from that which comes from the hand of a Vaishnava. Whatever comes from the hand of the Vaishnava, that is all good, all, Sarva Mangal. He's putting his life on the line. His faith in Guru Maharaj is so great that, like, if it comes from the hand of Srila Maharaj, it can only be good for me. And Gurudev said about Mahabharata and the kill, Guru Hatva, and there's Guru killing in the Mahabharata. But they think whatever comes from Guru is auspicious. Anyway, that's another story, but it's Mahabharata stuff. But so, and he accepted that. So Srila Gurudev, we're told that although he was not a direct disciple of Srila Saraswati Thakur, that everyone who were disciples of his considered him to be such. Like, he's a Prabhupada disciple. That level they perceived in him. So, and we know when I mentioned about him coming, that we're in London and getting ready to go to Venezuela. How did Gurudev say Venezuela? Venezuela, like the Z, Bengalis say Ja, Venezuela, something like Venezuela, And remember, this one man used to call him from there. The man, his wife was Lavanya Moi, but they make lasagna, so Gurudev called it Lasagna Moi. And the husband, or Srinivas, would call, he doesn't speak a word of English. And he'd call up and talk to Gurudev in Spanish for 5 minutes. And Gurudev went, Acha, Krishna bless you, Prabhu. And he might go, mucho gracias, and he'd hang up the phone. So that's his heart. But anyway, so we're getting ready, he's having a little garam jal, and the servitor, there's all this frenzy. When Gurudev traveled, like, I remember, there's this one suitcase, you could fit a small refrigerator in it. It just has muri and chanachur from Haldiram. It's like the snack case. It's like this high off the ground on wheels, And he has certain Bengali comfort food that he would travel with, So they're getting all this stuff ready and everyone's running, it's like this way, that way, every way. And I had the good fortune to be sitting by his side there. And I remember they had those little tables like this, the little TV table. And I swear to God, and God knows Krishna too, so it's even more important. It collapsed, and I was sitting next to him, and something made my body go like this, and I caught the table. Right, so I became the table for a moment. I just jumped, and it didn't go down. And then someone came and fixed it, because it's those little, they're cheapo things from, Costco or wherever. They have like 20 of them in SoCal. They had them in London. It became a thing, you know. Anyway, he's sitting there and he goes, he's thinking about his past. And he goes, Maharaj, you can't imagine how happy I was in my childhood. And I'm thinking, usually, like, you know, if you see one of these things, like, how I came to Krishna consciousness, they tell you some horrible stuff that was going on, that led them, like Prabhupada says in the Gita, when you realize that the material world is a constant source of perplexity, it behooves such a person to approach a guru. And I added to that, when you realize it's a constant source of perplexity and, what did I say? And a never-ending series of humiliation. I added that part, which reminds Dostoevsky and Notes from the Underground says, humiliation is one of the most intense forms of self-awareness. When you're totally humiliated, you really understand who you are at that moment. So anyway, so getting ready, and he said, but you can't, but he's telling the opposite. He's not saying I was suffering so, let me tell you, oh, you don't want to hear it, it was so bad, you know. And then I met the devotees and lived happily ever after. He's telling you, he's saying like, I was so happy. And he says, I loved everyone. Everyone loved me. And he said, and I loved everyone. I loved, and he started all the people, and he said, I loved the trees. I loved the birds. He started naming levels, like people, tree, birds, and then at the end he said, even the rickshaw-wallas, like they were lower on the scale, the evolutionary scale. Once one of the devotees at Mott, I said, you know, and the guy did this, and then he goes, the rickshaw-wallas by their very nature are quarrelsome. And then, really, they're quarrelsome by their very nature. Anyway, so, and Guru Maharaj told a story about that on the Tonga. The Tonga is a two-wheeled taxi drawn by a horse. The first time I went to Govardhan and Radhakunda was on a Tonga. And Maheshwari said she used to go to school in one with her brother. I go, wow. So it's two, I think in England they called it a Hanson. It means two wheels, not four. Two wheels, a driver, a horse. And Guru Maharaj said that a foreigner, and like this is universal, taxi driver ripping off people. So a guy from like East Bengal or something comes and like gets on the tongue and says, how much is it? And he goes, it's 5 rupees. And the man says, like that's, 10, 15 times as much as it is. And this is, Guru Maharaj told this story. And the man says to the Tongawala, he goes, say that again with a straight face and your horse will laugh. Your horse will not stop laughing. Like even the horse will go, he's really taking this guy. So anyway, so he's saying, even the rickshaw-wallas. And then he said, but then Guru Maharaj's representative came here. Like he sent someone out preaching village to village. And he said, talking this nonsense. Your mother is nothing. Your father is nothing. This world is nothing. It will all vanish. You have to give it all up. So he said, I was so happy until he showed up and said, your mother's nothing. Your father's nothing. The world, you got to give it all up. It's going to vanish. Give it all up while you can. And then he said, but I couldn't, those words penetrated my heart. And so he decided to go with him to the Mat and meet, the Sadguru, the Sadhu. And, but Govinda is always tricky. So the man started saying some stuff and Guru said, if I'm going, we have to leave this minute. Because that's why they had to swim. See, if they had he said, all right, so I'll be, no, this isn't going to happen later. If I'm going, we have to go now. So he goes, okay. That means we're going to have to swim across the river. That's what we're doing. We're swimming across the river, the Ganga. So they got there on the way, and Gurudev said, I'm thinking, like, I'd heard descriptions of ashrams in Ramayana and Mahabharata, so I had some idea what it should look like. And then when they saw it, this is 1947. You can see some old pictures. The mat's not very developed. It actually becomes developed by Gurudev coming. He built the 9-dome temple, everything. But now it's like thatched hut, and that gentleman sees some apprehension on, the young, what was his name then? Dharmadas, And he said, look, it may not be a very big building. He said, but there is a very big, great sadhu inside. He's like, oh, okay. Then he meets Srila Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj is doing, pariksha, examination. Saying, so, and Guru, he tests you. Some things he asks, he's actually testing you to see how you'll respond. So he said, so how long will you be staying? Like, how long will I be staying? Forever. Like when I say I'm going to do, I do it. I'm come here forever. Like Guru is very happy, but he's like, oh, that's good, very good. And he when Achyutananda came and staying there, Guru Maharaj is telling him what the rules are. Like, you have to go the morning program. And after we all came, again, Gurudev saying nothing will surprise us. Guru Maharaj himself said, when they said people are not going to the program, Guru Maharaj said, previously, if someone did that, he goes, we would give them prasadam and show them the door. But you have come from so far, and we're in this new toleration mode. But he told the Achyutananda, and he's going to stay there at the Mat, because that's where, when the letter I found in the BBT archives, because I know from Achyutananda Swami certain things that are true, but so he was staying with one godbrother who was damaging up to the point of destroying his faith in Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj. So when Prabhupada got word of it, and in the name of Shiksha Guru, but we were initially, but I am Shiksha, Prabhupada said, if you want, as I can understand, you are in need of a Shiksha Guru, then you go to the one who's the most qualified of all my godbrothers, and Navadvip, and that is Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj. He said, I consider him to be my Shiksha Guru. What to speak of the benefit that you can, I go to him for Shiksha. Then when I found that, I thought, Eureka. Because I will use that for propaganda. I'm already accepting Guru Maharaj, but I'm thinking, how will I get other people to accept him and listen to him? So when I found that, I was pretty jacked up into the sky, the spiritual sky. Right. So anyway, so he's telling Achyutananda the rules too. Just thinking about it, Achyutananda, he learns, I played him a tape of Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, he said, he's my guru, meaning Sangeet guru, like music guru. So he learns everything from Babaji Maharaj, how to sing all the songs, and he's being trained by Guru Maharaj in Gaudiya Siddhanta. And I'll say this, because I love him and admire him to this day, and learned so many things from him. Once Achyutananda Maharaj was giving a lecture, and he's like Guru Maharaj's kind of things are coming out, absolute consideration, relative he's a good student, high level of Sukriti. After Prabhupada heard his lecture, he goes, he has surpassed his Guru. He was saying, this is higher than what I'm giving. He said that. And it's all good. It's all good, you know. So, but I like this. So Guru Maharaj is telling him, like, you know, what the rules are here. You're going to stay at the mat. So you'll be given one room, and in that room there's, you know, a bed, you know, the wooden bed, and one chair to the left. I don't need a chair. And Guru Maharaj goes, the chair is not for you. The chair is if a respectable gentleman comes to visit you. He's like, oh, okay. He goes, I don't need a chair. You know, give me a glass of milk in a dirty glass, that kind of thing. You know? So anyway, Gurudev, how long did he stay? Forever. And so he's there. And we know right away Guru Maharaj is appreciating him, but Guru Maharaj is also, he will examine. But Babaji Maharaj becomes the biggest fan and promoter of Gurudev. And he becomes Gorindu Brahmachari. And Babaji Maharaj is telling Guru Maharaj, this Gorindu, he's the one. Babaji Maharaj is telling Guru Maharaj that. He's the one. Give all your everything to him. It's him. I'm telling you, you got, you know. Babaji Maharaj is really selling Gurudev to Guru Maharaj. I mean, this is all Leela. We can adjust it up. But I'm just telling you how it played out. Because Guru Maharaj, I know he knows it all, but he's like, knowing him, he doesn't want to jinx this either. So he's a little more, you know, reticent to start giving too much praise or acknowledgement. But Babaji Maharaj is like, he is just over the moon about Gorindu Brahmachari. He loves him and sees how qualified he is already. Like, and Guru Maharaj is saying, like, so you need, remember, Gurudev, he told me this, and again, I say with love and affection, he said, my father, he's Sahajiya Guru, singer. And he'd say, you know, he had this habit of waking up 3 o'clock in the morning. So his mother and father are still in bed, and he'd come. You imagine how cute he crawls in, and the father, like, shh, like, don't wake up mom. And that's when he taught him the mantras for each yuga. Satya Yuga mantra, Treta Yuga mantra, Dwapara Yuga, Kali, you know. Like, he'd be on the lap of his father, on his chest, and his father teaching him the yuga, slokas for each yuga, and many things. So his father trains him how to sing. He's just a kid. Sometimes his father gets sick, and they have to go do these, you know, they're the local singers, so they go, oh, the father's sick. Then they send the young boy, and he is dazzling. Everyone is amazed, and he knows all the songs. And he told me there was this one song he really liked when the group would come through, and it was about Krishna and the cowherd boys, and he really liked it. And he said, like, they'd have a procession, he would join in the end, and he was thinking like he's one of the cowherd boys. And he's happily singing the song, and he's in Vrindavan with Krishna, and he really liked that one, you know. But there's some other ones he liked even more. So he already knows, and Guru Maharaj, again, he's assessing him. So he sees, he knows all these songs, but they're too high. So he tells him, he didn't say, you know, cancel, Guru. He just said, like, you just suppress that for now, put them on the shelf. And ticked off, 30 songs of the Bhaktivinoda and Narata, you know, songbook. And he figures, that'll keep him busy, you know. Comes back after a week, he knows all of them by heart. Because Gurudev said, if you have to use the book, he doesn't like that. I have to use the book sometimes, but he does not like that you have to use the book. Except like on Gaur Purnima, when you have, you know, the hunt, you know, that. But generally he doesn't like that. That the singer should know. So anyway, he learns all those songs very quick. And then Guru Maharaj can see, he's an expert singer. And Gurudev had to like dial down his vocal abilities. They're more extreme actually. Virtuoso. But he had to like dial it down a little bit to be in Guru Maharaj's zone, they hear these kirtans. Guru Maharaj will turn to Gurudev and have him sing. But we know every now and then, like, Guru Maharaj would ask him to sing one of those high songs. And sometimes Gurudev too would use them to manipulate Guru Maharaj. I'm using that word purposefully, because he can do that. Sometimes he's so attached to Govinda Maharaj. That was one of the Godbrothers' complaints, that he's too attached to Govinda Maharaj. But so anyway, because Gurudev was saying, someone said something, and Guru Maharaj came out with his truth, and it would mean like a lot of financial hardship if we were to follow that. So Gurudev had to massage the whole thing, you know. And then he came to me, this is around the time when he's saying no one can approach Guru Maharaj anymore. It has to be you or me or like Sagar Maharaj, Madhusudha Maharaj, like you just can't go up there. And he said, and before I ask Guru Maharaj anything, I said, I see what is his mood first. And he said, and if he's in a certain mood, I don't ask those questions. I wait for his mood to be agreeable, and then I might ask a question that, you know, is a little, what's the word? Critical, right? Just don't come in and blurt it because, hey, no, the Guru is the Guru. I once said to Gurudev in the final days too, I said, this is around 2 o'clock in the morning. Some stuff was going down, you know, and I said, like Vaishnava Maharaj and Avadut Maharaj were in my room, and it was ballistic, is the word I'll use. So I said, all right, let me go talk to him first and see, you know, if he's like, okay. So I went in there and I said, and he's up. We want to see, and he's up because he's sleeping a lot during the day, so he's wide awake, it's 2 o'clock. I said, you know, Maharaj, how are you? And he can tell I want to say something. I said, Maharaj, you know, I have heard, maybe Chanakya says that the king's ministers are his eyes and ears. And he's like, yeah. In other words, I'm saying something has come to my ear. But I've also heard that you should never say something to the Guru that he does not want to hear. Right? You shouldn't upset him. So you shouldn't say something that he doesn't want to hear, but his ministers are his eyes and ears. That's all I said. And he said, it's okay, you can tell me. And then I told him some particular thing that was critical, as Maharaj says. So he did that with Guru Maharaj. So he's saying, I see what is his mood, you know. So we know that, and Maharaj knows this better than me, or better than I, that sometimes, and before his sannyas, Gurudev has to go to Calcutta, and he has a place there, so it means he has to go for a few days or whatever. And that would not make Guru Maharaj happy. He never got used to it. Every single time it was a drama. So he'd have to like get to the point where Guru Maharaj can accept that Govinda Maharaj is not going to be in the mat for 3 days or whatever it is. He can't just say, oh, Maharaj, you need to go. Oh, yeah. It's not like that. So it has to be just the right time. And you have to, you know, like, and he knows he's got to be in a good mood or he's going to shut it down. And we know so many times they got Guru Maharaj to agree, and there's the Gauranga Setu bridge, so the car has to go this way. Maharaj knows the route. And you know, there's a shortcut from the mud along the road to the, and then the car would be there, and Hari Charan Prabhu would have run to the base of the bridge and told Govinda Maharaj, you have to come back. Guru Maharaj wants you to come back. How much love Srila Guru Maharaj has for Srila Gurudev. We can't imagine. But that, how many times? It's like Krishna Leela. Mother Yashoda cannot tolerate that Krishna's going to herd the cows in the morning. And they told 100 times they have to do it. He starts to go, and then she, and she's kissing his face, thousands of kisses on his lotus face. What is that? Bimba, Raktam Bimba, Dharamme, Param Dristam Atyanta Drutya Gopya, Damodarastakam. And then they start to go, and then she does it again and again and again. And then finally, she, with Balaram's reassurance that he will protect Krishna at every moment, and all the cowherd boys, they somehow deceive her and get Krishna to go. This is just a typical morning in Vrindavan. And the gopis are on the side. Barha pidam nadabara bapu karne karnikam vibrat Vajantim Brandran Venu Udhaya Sudhara Puriyam Gopa Vrinde Brindaranam Supadaramanam Prabhishad Gita Kirti. He's wearing the peacock feather. Just saying, who has everything? You think like, wow, I must have like the Hope Diamond or something. No, he wears a peacock feather. Sometimes the peacock's out. Krishna, will you play that song, that one song you do with the flute? And like, okay. And they go, and they go mad dancing. And then he leans over and like, they bow their heads to him, and he plucks one of those, the little, and like, and they're very happy. That's mine. That he got that one from me. No, that one, that's mine. No, that's my. He's wearing my peacock feather. Yours, that I don't know where that went. That's mine. That was this morning. How fortunate you are. Priya Bhangsha, his friend, the flute, and he's playing, and it says, what do you look like? Barha pidam narabara. It means like a dancer, performer, in modern terms, a movie star. We know the movie, when the people come and see, it looks like, their every gesture, and they're like, and they look so beautiful, and they were, and like, they're saying he's like that, but infinitely. Take that and multiply it ad infinitum. It's Krishna's star quality. Narava Bapu Karnyo. And he's got flowers over his ears. Like I told the time in the Delhi park, we were walking with Prabhupada around this lotus pond, and he leans over and there's some flowers like this, and he plucks one, plucks another, and goes, push one like that. And he's walking on, and then we all jump on the flowers, we're grabbing them, and we put one like this and put one like that, and then there's Prabhupada, and we're all going and like that, and we all have flowers behind it, and I thought it's like the mother swan and the baby swans, a parade, a swan parade. So, and Bibrat Basa Kanaka Kapisam Vaijayantim Tamala, and he's wearing the Vaijayanti garland, the 5 different types of Vrindavan forest flowers. It says Randran Venu Udhaya Sudhaya Purayan. And when Krishna plays on the flute, we know on the flute, so much saliva goes into the flute. Right? And Krishna's saliva, the secret ingredient in prasadam, Krishna Adaramritam, it's in the Antya Leela. That's the secret ingredient. Don't tell anyone. When he plays the flute, a shower of nectar comes out. Right? Venu, and Gopa Vrinde, the Gopa Vrinda, like we say Bhakta Vrinda, there's so many Gopas, and they're playing flutes, horns, singing, dancing, they have their lunch, picnic, lunch box, whatever, and Krishna and Balaram are there, and the Braja Gopi, Gopa Vrinde, Brindaranyam, Swapada Ramanam, Prabhishad Gita, and the gopis are Gopya, the Drikshita, means the eyes of the brother. This is what they see. They're looking from the sides. this is like, so Yashoda to this scene, this is like, I don't know, infinite time, Nimishe, Darkyo, Brahma Samhita in Vrindavan. They haven't even made it yet to the forest. So we went from Yashoda, the house, they all surround there, watch her dress Krishna, and the cowherd boys, they're watching, and sometimes Krishna takes his flute and bonk, hits one on the head, and they're like, ah! Krishna just hit me on the head with his flute, and Yashoda, no, Gopal, don't do that. But they're happy that they got bonked by Krishna. So from there, and then we say, Brindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Prabhishad Gita Kirti, and the earth is shivering in conjugal ecstasy due to the touch of the holy lotus feet of Krishna. So what is Vrindavan? The whole place is saturated with Madhura Rasa in one form or another. The earth is shivering in conjugal ecstasy. Why? Even the Vatsalya Rasa, Parakiya Bhav, the sense of another, that Krishna is not her child, belongs to another, that Gopal is not one of us, among the cowherd boys, the other, and then ultimately the Madhura Rasa, Braja Gopis, etc. So Gurudev was very happy to hear that song. He's like one of the cowherd boys, we're going to the Vrindavan forest. But this other song, he knew would put Guru Maharaj in a good mood. If he needs to go to Calcutta, take care of some things. And that was Tungamani Mandire. And that's the one that would just put Guru Maharaj in like a trance of Krishna Prem. And he would agree to anything. And Gurudev would kind of like... And I asked him in the last trip in Navadvip, Maharaj, that Tungamani Mandire, what does that mean? He said, it means... And that's just after he was singing this one song to himself in light of what we're saying. And I said, Maharaj, what is the meaning of that? And he said, Yashomati, Mother Yashoda, she's doing arati to the lotus face of Krishna. How beautiful his face is, and she's just drinking the nectar of the beauty of the lotus face of Krishna with her little lamp light. So then I said, what does Tungamani Mandire mean? He said that the heart of Srimati Radharani is like a lighthouse of Krishna Prem illuminating the entire spiritual world. And it's like Guru Maharaj's Gayatri, Bhargo Bhai Vrishabhanu Jatma Vivabhai Karadana Sri Puram, where he's saying a similar thing. Actually, her heart is what is, that is what light is in the spiritual world. Chidananda Jyotir Rupam. Light has formed there. Her heart is illuminating. It's all the world of consciousness. And what does it reveal? Service to Krishna. Radha Padam Dhimahi. Kirtan, what is it? Kirtan. The Radha Padam Dhimahi. Gayatri Muralista Kirtanandanam. Radha Padam. What is Gurudev? And what is Krishna fluting about? The holy lotus feet of Radharani. He's playing a flute song about his beloved's lotus feet and serving them. And it's regulating everyone in service. Gurudev said in that Monte Baro in Italy, arranged by Krishna Kanta and Manindra Mohan, he said, the sound of Krishna's flute alerts all the servitors to what their services are. And he said, when all the factory workers, they assemble outside the factory in the morning, and then they go, doo, and then everyone, some run this way, some go that, they go upstairs, downstairs, the guy gets in, like everything. He said, like that. So Krishna goes, doo, the fifth note of his flute, and everyone knows what to do. So, by quoting that song, and I should say too that, so I think most of the things that I think sometimes about what I say or share, so I know the things that distinctly come from Srila Prabhupada. Then I know things that come distinctly from Srila Guru Maharaj. And then I thought, But what things come distinctly from Srila Gurudev? And I noticed a pattern. They're actually very high things. The slokas that I got from him, that he infused into my heart, are like Antya Leela, Krishna Karnamritam, Gita Govinda. Because I was going like, wow, this one, that's Antya Leela. No, that's Karnamritam. That's the Gita Govinda. This is the Padyavali of Rupa Goswami. So when Guru Maharaj said this transition, this Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, you're going to understand like what he's got. Because he's a little bit staying in the background during Guru Maharaj's time. Just unhappily orchestrating everything, but not coming out his ecstatic emotional interior, as I've called it. So the Guru Maharaj is saying, like, get ready for this. Right? Because as I told, I used the Shiksha Guru letter for propaganda to get people to give a hearing to Guru Maharaj. Here's Prabhupada Swami Maharaj saying why you should hear from him. Then Govinda Maharaj's time came. I thought, how am I going to get people? You always need like a slogan or a something. Nokia says connecting people. You need that little thing like that sums up what you're doing. So I thought, how am I going to convey to people who is Govinda Maharaj and why they should give him a listen? So I said, I already have established Guru Maharaj and we have Prabhupada. So I said, he's like a combination of Prabhupada and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And people go, well, that sounds worth looking into. That's what I distilled it to. He's a combination of Prabhupada and Sridhar Maharaj. But again, and I'm just saying this from an analytical point of view, that is a propaganda ploy that I invented to introduce him. They have others like, who is this Govinda Maharaj? He's like a combination of Prabhupada and Sridhar Maharaj. Oh my God, let's hear what he has to say. And then he would deliver the goods. But then later, writing that way, if someone said to him once like, well, we know Prabhupada, Shaktavesh Avatar, inundated the world, and Guru Maharaj, secondary education and all the high things, and the revelation of Gayatri, and the Rupanuga line transfer from Saraswati Thakur, basically said but what are you bringing to the table that is not from Prabhupada and not from Sridhar Maharaj? And he's saying oh, so you think this, the combination, I have nothing myself, personally. He is insulted, right? Because it's a compliment. To say someone's a combination of Prabhupada and Sridhar Maharaj is an extremely high compliment. But he's saying, but I also have some original things, which Dr. Shastri said in Gurudev's poetry, there are things there that are not found anywhere else. So it's his capacity. I've seen him write an arati while the TV was on and a full veranda thing and people coming and going, and he's composing an arati. He didn't have to go into a locked room, with no sound, I won't be available, No, he is super qualified to do. He just can sound. When Guru Maharaj made all these compositions, Govinda Maharaj was at his side. Sometimes Guru Maharaj is searching for a word. Govinda Maharaj said, this word, that is the word. Yes, thank you. He's there. The Bhagavad Gita, that we have, the hidden treasure, it's actually from Govinda Maharaj. It's his Bhagavad Gita, with guidance from Guru Maharaj. He did the Gita. But it's Govinda Maharaj's Bhagavad Gita. Guru Maharaj just gave an outline and some explanation of certain slokas. Gurudev did it, and he did it when he was sick for a year. So he needed to do some book work. He couldn't do his regular 24/7 servitor routine. He had to take care of himself, and that's when You know what I'm talking about? Getting the milk is like a what do you say, executive class perk at any mat to be given, pure cow's milk. So it was given to him because it was sick and doing book work. But I just have to say, we're in South Africa. Mauritius, and Siddhanta Maharaj was becoming worse and worse. And I'm telling Gurudev, he needs to get treatment or something. Even his brother was there, and Gurudev he says, let me talk to him. And he calls him in, and Siddhanta Maharaj is saying, well, Maharaj, when we get back to the Mat Navadip and I get the good milk, I think I'll be fine. And Gurudev goes Bore Baba. He said, you are not going back. You're going to America. He had to tell him it was getting bad. But I just remember him saying, when I get the good milk, so pure-hearted, simple-hearted. He thought, if I get the good milk from the cows in Navadvip, I'll be fine. Right? So anyway, Gurudev does, during that time, Gita and proofreading. So I was wondering, how does he know these slokas from the Krishna Karnamritam? He said, because I was a proofreader, a copy holder. So I had to read it so many times. And some of them entered me and are coming out. Like this one, I was saying, after the disappearance of Srila Gurudev, we're still in Calcutta and on his veranda, and sometimes a few people will come and we sort of just take them in there and talk about him. Not just me, other devotees also. And so this family, they're from Dwaraka. Very unusual. Highly educated, and they come. And I just thought that's interesting. I want to know which queen did they like the most, or, resonate with them. So that we're just talking about different things, and because there's Rukmini, Satyabhama, and I'm sitting there next to Gurudev's disappearance bed, and I said, sometimes then he's just singing these verses. He just come out with something. So one that's particularly beautiful. It's a description of Krishna. Why does Mahaprabhu like to hear this in the Gangbhir and the association of Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy? Because he's in the mood of Radharani, and these verses are all about the beauty of Krishna. That's why. But Prabodhananda writes 300 verses praising Radharani. Radharani her devotees strike back, It's all sweet, but so he loves hearing that. He's in the heart, enveloped in the heart and halo of Radharani, hearing about the beauty of Krishna. It's going to give so much joy, ecstatic joy to his heart. So this one Gurudev, he liked to quote it all the time. Kosturi tilakam lalata palake bhakshastale kostubam nashagre namamoktivam karutale benam kare kankanam sarvanga harichandanam chakalayan mukte kante chamuktavalim gopa sri pariveshito vijayate, Vijay, gopa sri pariveshito vijayate Gopala Churamani. Gurudev always pronounces the long vowels. He holds them a little bit longer. Gives a little, so Gopal. He won't say Gopal. Say Gopal. You have to open your mouth. Gopala Churamani. He pronounces them more strongly and holds them a breath a little bit longer. And what does that say? Kosturi tilak, like our Krishna, he's got Kosturi tilak. His tilak is from musk. So it's like a deep reddish, it's a very deep red. And it's saying, he's not wearing white tilak. Kosturi tilakam, lalata, like we go, lalate keshabam jain. So Kosturi tilakam lalata palake. Bhaksha, we say Bhaksha stale, Madhavam. Bhaksha stale, Kaustubham. And his Bhaksha here, what is it? The Kaustuba gem. Because they say, everyone looks similar in Vaikuntha because of Sarupya Mukti. How do you know who Vishnu is? He's got the Kaustuba jewel. He's the one with the Kaustuba? Oh, okay. You know. Kaustuba, Bhakshasai Kaustuba. So Kausturi Tilakam Lalata Palasai, Bhakshasai Kaustubam, Nashagre Namamoktikam. Nash, on his nose, he has a pearl. Nashagre Namamoktikam. A little nose ring, and there's a pearl there. Maybe not all the time, but sometimes. Because I can see she's like, oh boy. It's next on her list. Sometimes. Right? So, Nashagre Namamoktikam, Karatale Venam Kore Konka, and he's holding the flute. We can't imagine how beautiful are the fingers of Krishna when he plays the flute. First of all, his lotus hands, how beautiful they are. But the way they move is endlessly fascinating. So it said, Venam Kare Kankanam. Like the way his fingers move when he plays the flute is like trance-inducing. It's hypnotizing. Right, so Venam Kare Sarvanga Harichandanam. And like those deities in Vrindavan, he's got chandan everywhere. All over him, not only his face, his arms, his everywhere. He's got chandan, and with this beautiful designs. Sarvanga Harichandanam Chakalayam, Kante Chamuktavalim, and around his neck he's wearing a necklace of pearls. But pearl in Sanskrit is mukta. So you could also say he's garlanded with, he's wearing a garland of liberated souls. Because if you're going to be a pearl in that zone, super liberated soul. So is a garland of pearls, a garland of liberated souls, or are both possible? Kante Muktabalim, then you know the finish. Gopa Stri Pariveshita. And so that Gopal, who looks like this, when he is surrounded by Braja Gopis, Gopala, Gopa Stri Pariveshito Vijayate, he looks so glorious and victorious. He's playing the flute, and he's surrounded by all these, because he looks good enough when he's surrounded by all the cowherd boys. But when he's surrounded, there's one Gopal, and surrounded by all these inconceivably beautiful Braja Gopis, Gopa Stri Pariveshito Vijayate Gopala Chudamani. He's the crown jewel of this crown of servitors. All the Braja Gopis, the crown jewel in the center of this group of Braja Gopis is Gopal. Looking very nice. He said that about himself too in his pranam mantra. Everyone talks about all the other parts. The part he likes is where it says Bharatanum. He goes, and looking very nice. Anyway, so like I say that verse, he's saying a lot in the final throughout, but especially in the final days. And this people, the one, he goes, Kosturi Tilakam Lalata. He starts saying it, and I go, whoa. And the others, and they're like, and they go, that is our family mantra. And I go, that's a thing? Like you can have a family, like that's the mantra of our family. We saying it every evening. So I thought, Gurudev's still preaching to them. He's using me to give this to them. I could understand. It's Gurudev, right from his disappearance, it's coming through me, and he's gracing this group. Still. So, that's what I wanted to say for right now. I reserve the right, for some time later to say something. But Madhusudamas, if you would speak.
Maharaj, I'm very happy hearing, because actually we've been transported to the association of Gurudev And Maharaj, hearing from you, we've got Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj in the context of Guru Maharaj, of Srila Prabhupada, of Krishna consciousness, and the whole thing that we stand for, that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is given, Rupa Goswami is given. And there is nobody better in this world to give us such a context as our dear Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj. And we can say some things from the living with Gurudev aspect and his very personal nature and the way he touched everyone's heart, and the miracles of the way that people were transformed from really you can say the even untouchable, the mleccha, the meat-eating section, the uncivilized section, as we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
With the scent of a beast is still upon you.
Yes, this
not you, but you know.
Oh no. So anyhow, Gurudev's nature was just that even though he is from that Goswami class and truthful, himself always truthful. In fact, one part about Gurudev coming to Guru Maharaj's lotus feet was he always told the truth, and that preaching brahmachari managed to draw out of Gurudev. So will you come to the mat? You'll join the mat? And Gurudev saying yes. Because he said, I was always accustomed to saying yes to anything anybody asked me. And that was also part of the leela of coming to the mat, that he said yes, and then Gurudev thinking, oh yes, I said yes to him. Yes. Then I must go. But then he said, but I think I'll qualify it a little bit, so that yes, if it's now. Later not, but yes, if it's now. And then the brahmachari said, okay, now it will be.
Oh, and just to add that on the yes part, so when Guru Maharaj said to him when he comes, he goes, so what are the rules? That you will, because he told Achyutananda, young man, you have to do what I say, however whimsical or whimsical it may be. And whimsical is not a word, he just made up a not like, he said, however whimsical or whimsical it is, you have to do what I say. You're ready to sign up for that? So Guru Maharaj says to Gurudev, are you prepared to listen to me and not your mind? And on this point, Gurudev said, I was young, so I said yes. He said, I didn't know how difficult that would be in the future.
So this was the nature of Guru Maharaj. Brahminical, Brahmana is truthful. They keep to their word, all these things, and purity of mind, purity of everything. But Gurudev, from that like super clean level, then he's coming to touch the hearts of those who may not be quite so super clean, but transforming their hearts so that they're actually aspiring for that plane which the absolute truth, Krishna is described as the absolute truth, that plane of absolute truth where there is no cheating as we know it in this world. We know Krishna Leela has got many tricky things within there. But there is no cheating in the sense of exploitation, the sense of...
There's cheating of dedication, but not the exploitative cheating.
Cheating of dedication, there we are.
Yeah.
And so,
so they're going to say, so Goswami Maharaj said, what did I say? We can steal and we can cheat. There was some other thing, right? That the first thing I said that was like illegal. Anyway, Maharaj will save us from that by continuing.
Well, continuing means that by being with Gurudev, by seeing not only his relationship with, we all think, we have our own relationship with others, and so we can also be thinking about ourselves, but we are seeing Gurudev's relationship and how he's dealing with all the devotees. And about today is his we could say birthday in one sense. And birthday of your father, birthday of your grandfather, birthday of a relative, it's a day where even without thinking of their glories in certain ways, my grandfather did this, my father did that, he was a this, that in the army or whatever it may be, but just the relationship of the children with the father, the children with the grandfather, with the relatives. It's a happy birthday. They come, and they're coming automatically with gifts to give, coming automatically with some happy words.
Right.
It's a happy day.
Yeah.
And this day of Vyasa Puja is one of these beautiful days of expression of the devotees whose hearts very often were touched without any, you could say, logical reason. And we can say about devotees, one devotee we know very well, telling us how he came to Krishna consciousness, and he'd been around other Krishna conscious societies in different places, and some of his friends dragged him to come and see Gurudev. He said, I was so skeptical, but anyway, they're my mates. If I use the accent,
then we know he was from Australia.
Okay, he knows everything. Anyway, they're all my mates, so then they got me to go. And this devotee, he said, at the door when we went in to the Red Cross Hall,
yes,
and at the door when we went in, then everybody was sitting there and Govinda Maharaja was at the end. But immediately that I saw him, I knew, oh, here is my Guru.
Wow.
Said immediately.
He didn't hear him speak yet.
Hardly not, maybe from the distance.
Yes,
but it was going in the door, and he said, I was just struck. He said, I never thought that anything like that could happen to me. And by just coming to Gurudev's association. And that devotee from then until now, sweet, steady, very happy to it. It's Hari Mohan Prabhu. I mean, we can say, he'll be happy, we say, Hari Mohan
Prabhu. I'll say this too on this point. Srila Prabhupada, we know, like Rupa Goswami said, what are the 24, 26 qualities of a pure devotee, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he's Sharul, he's I think it's 26, right? But there's something Prabhupada used to say, like he'd say, like when he said, a Vaishnava is a perfect gentleman, some like non-Sanskrit kind of things, you know, perfect gentleman, he would say. But also he said, and he's very jolly, right? So, what you're saying, so Jayadvaita Maharaj, one of the senior most disciples of Srila Prabhupada there is, right? He visited Srila Gurudev in Govardhan. And so he knows very well this thing about Prabhupada saying a Vaishnava, in addition to all these other things, he's jolly. And when he came away from that and said his impression of Srila Govinda Maharaj, besides all of his spiritual qualities, his shastric ability, the endorsement from Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, is that he was jolly, was actually a very high compliment, because he knows, Prabhupada said, that's what a Vaishnava is. So I know that this was his indirect way of saying, I met with a genuine Vaishnava.
Beautiful.
He made him happy.
So Gurudev's nature, we are all his family. Everybody has come, and by the grace of Srila Gurudev, into this family of Guru Maharaj, going to the predecessors and onwards through the Guru Vaga for the next hundreds of years. That thread must remain, it will remain. Through thick and thin, there will be that gracious thread coming down. But how has Guru Maharaj been presented to us? Through Srila Gurudev. And Srila Gurudev himself, he's a relative, our relative for all of us. And so
I want to say something about that. Is that what Maharaj is saying? So he said this thread. So Guru Maharaj compares it to a current, right? So he's saying when you have the current of a river, sometimes it's huge, wide, sometimes it becomes this narrow, but it's still that current. And Gurudev said about something like light post, you have a major light, and then the wire goes underground from some time, and then a major light comes out about the Sampradaya thing, and on the family and the relative thing. So as much as Guru Maharaj was a recluse, that word, R-E-C-L-U-S-E, means likes to be alone. He's totally like that. Only 3 people can actually go see him, 3 or 4. He stays alone. He wants to be, he's like his own, he's associating in the upper world. You have to be very qualified to be able to go and upstairs, see Guru Maharaj, or go in his room and be with him. We know it's like Gurudev, Krishna Mohi, that's it. You know, others like, because they had to do some seva, they were allowed to go. But otherwise, Guru Maharaj, so I'm saying, as much as he was a recluse, and this is the beauty when I saw that, Guru Maharaj is not a clone of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's not a clone of anyone, and Gurudev's not a clone of Guru Maharaj. So as much as Guru Maharaj is a recluse, Govinda Maharaj is just the opposite. He always likes to be like have a full veranda, a full room. If the car seats 6, he'll put 10 in it. So and that's his, like he's going to bring everybody along with him. Guru Maharaj is going to go alone. He's going to have Govinda Maharaj, but through Govinda Maharaj, the rest of the world will come.
And so as our family member, we are very happy simply to also have this day in remembrance and praise and giving gifts as we can of our hearts and flowers presently, but giving gifts for
And you know which gift Gurudev likes the most? Money.
I was going to say that part. But, okay,
no,
practical.
Just to give, I know you're going to do that, so I'm going to do this part. Money.
Yeah.
So once some devotee that Lalita knows very well came and saw like and he goes, that's how you measure devotion? It's like how much they give? Gurudev goes, yes. Yes, that's how you measure it. The barometer. You were there. That's the barometer. So then now I can see people are already getting nervous, right? That means like if you have it, it's your accumulated energy. Like another thing, Gurudev, he doesn't like you go and you're there, and then on the last day, the money you have left over, you come and give him that.
Yeah.
That's not how you do it. When Avadut Maharaj goes, day 1, puts it on the table, and here's 60 people to get initiated. That's the way you do it. Saying Paramananda Prabhu, Krishna Priya, they give Gurudev right away. Yudamanyu collected so much for Guru with his collecting parties, but like one time he went to see Gurudev and didn't come with the big, and Gurudev said, Prabhu, come here for a second, I'm going to tell you something. And Yudamanyu like, yeah, Maharaj? Yeah. He goes, whenever you see me, you have to give me money. Well, no, Maharaj, see, no, Prabhu, you don't understand. When you see me, you must give me money. It can be $1, it can be 10, 100, but when you see me, you have to give me some money. Yes, Maharaj. That's what he told him. Yuda was saying, no, I come with like 10, 20, 30,000. Guru, I'm not saying that. You see me, you give me some money. Got it. They're like Guru, he thought that email was bad. Nobody should use email. You know why? Because you used to get envelopes and they had money in them. Now people are sending, your lotus feet will liberate so many universe, and Gurudev would go, really? He's saying all this talk will be there about your lotus feet, and I love you, and you love me, we're a happy family, and all of that stuff. And you're not going to give $1 to promote this love and affection and all the bricks that need to be bought to house the servitors. He's very practical also. Yes. And I just, I'm just telling this because no one's going to hear this. It's not like it's being recorded and playing on the internet or anything. So, and this is so beautiful too. So we're coming there because we're no longer considered members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. When we're not at the Mat in Navadvip, when we go to Calcutta, we have to go to hotels, and I'm saying really down and dirty stuff. We're not staying at the Ritz-Carlton or Paris Hilton. Hilton. We're definitely not staying with Paris Hilton. But anyway, so and they always ask questions. You're not gonna, they ask what would be considered being nosy or rude, and they just do it, So, and you have to give a report. You know, we're going like, where'd you stay? How much did it cost? Like, you know, one of those places really like a notorious, nefarious activities area. I don't even want to remember the name, some part of Calcutta. And they didn't, Gurudev knows everything about Calcutta. Guru Maharaj might not. Gurudev knows every alley. He knows what's going on in every part of that city. And he did not like to hear that we're doing that. So he's telling, and Guru Maharaj, he just wants Chaitanya Saraswati Mat and Navadvip. He doesn't want to make a second building. He's telling us we should do something in Madhyadvip and visit. But Gurudev's trying to massage this in such a way as that will be in the mud. He's making Sevak Baba and stuff, but we don't have a place in Calcutta. And we're going there all the time, transiting and spending money, and it's not a good situation. You know, eating in restaurants and blah, blah, blah. So Gurudev convinces Guru Maharaj, like, we need a place in Calcutta. And he arranges this place, I'm saying before that. So he gets a rental place in Bagh Bazaar. And he posts Prapanna Krishna and Subal Sakha brahmacharis there. I say that because Tirthamaras and Damodar, but they're brahmacharis then. And so, but I've come and gone without stopping much. And like, Guru Maharaj is telling me, like, you don't understand. You need to go there. You won't be inconveniencing them. They're there, they're waiting for you. And if you don't go, they're going to be very disappointed. So I arrive at around 11 o'clock at night. And this place is like a large closet. I mean, the first in Bagh Bazaar. It was?
Near the biscuit factory.
Yeah, I mean, it's a so-called hole in the wall kind of thing. But I go there. It's like around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Begun, Bhaja, Khichdi, Puri, like Damodar and Subal Sakha Prabhu and Prapanna Krishna, they're ecstatic to get a guest. Like, whereas the Western people are like, oh my God, like how, you know, like how long are you staying? Jeez, you know, they're like, they're giddy, like that someone finally came, you know, and so I come. And so they made, like, it's like hot, Begun Bhaja, fried eggplant, Khichdi, Puris, you know, I'm like, wow, you know. And then I go to, and there's like on the floor a little mat, like with the most perfect mosquito net setup I've ever seen. Must have been Damodar Maharaj, because he knows how to do it. There's a way to do it. Gurudev was taught by one of the godbrothers of Saraswati Tagore, where it's just perfect. And then you have the little thing like this where you just lift it and you enter, tuck that, and you're just, and I'm in there and I feel like I'm on my mother's lap. And then suddenly I went, oh my God, it's Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. They did this. I'm seeing beyond them that it's Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. They made my bed, they did, and I was like, oh, you know, it's almost like that. For whom our lives should be an aspiration to serve their holy lotus feet, I'm accepting seva from them. But my conclusion was, I got, you know, do something good. And I'll just mention this one thing Guru Maharaj said about me. Like, you could say, like, an unflattering thing would be to say, like, he's lazy. Right? But Guru Maharaj said, our Goswami Maharaj is a man who conserves his energy, and at the time of the greatest necessity, he comes through with full force. So I'll say that. But so I realized I've got to so the end result of that is wanting to reciprocate more. So means at the time, publishing, this, that, the other thing. But just to fast forward, so then Gurudev realized that Bagh Bazaar place, that's not really cutting it, you know, like we need a house. So he arranged to buy a house in Koi Kali, And it's beautiful. It's like Art Deco. It's actually, if you look at that, it's a beautiful place with the French doors and, you know, on the spiraling staircase. It's actually done very well. But the people are cheating him. They've sold it to him. But in India, like possession is 9/10 of the law. They're not moving out. See, they never said, they're selling you the house. They never said, we're not going to keep living here. That's a big assumption on your part. What, you think we're going to leave? No, we sold you the house. You can live here too. We're not going. This kind of thing, right? So Gurudev, going, oh, that's the way it's going to be, huh? So he starts looking for another place. And that's when he finds Dum Dum Park, which ends up becoming the main one. But it was Koi Kali first. But so they're not leaving. So Gurudev says to the couple, the husband, you know, he says, you know, right now in Calcutta, for 10,000 rupees, this matter can be solved. I can go to someone, give them 10,000 rupees, and this won't be an issue anymore. But I would rather give you that 10,000 rupees. They took the 10,000 rupees and left. So when Guru Maharaj says, in many ways, he can do things I cannot do. Which comes back to the original point. I'm saying, just to tie that, put a bow in that, whatever. So Gurudev needed Guru Maharaj to lie, and he knows Guru Maharaj cannot lie. And these official government people are going to come and going to, you know. So Srila Govinda Maharaj said to Guru Maharaj, what if I say certain things in your presence when they're here, and you don't object? Guru Maharaj said, that I can do. So I'm going to say certain things and you don't say anything. Guru Maharaj said, that I can do. So they come, and we know, it's related to taxes and everything, and they want to tax the Math. Remember, the Chaitanya Saraswat Math is not a non-profit religious organization. It's a privately owned property. And they want them to pay a certain tax. And the tax will be according to like because Guru Maharaj is saying, Mahaprabhu and Gandharva Govinda Sundar, they're the owners of this. And I'm their servitor, Sevite. That's the possession. So if they're, Radha and Krishna, if they're married, they'll have to pay a higher rate. Right? So Gurudev convinces the tax authorities, saying, everyone knows that Radha and Krishna are not married. They're boyfriend and girlfriend. And Mahaprabhu is Mahaprabhu. And then we're like, Swamiji, we cannot deny that what you're telling is true. So he gets the lower rate. Who can do that? Who could think of that? And tell them with a straight face, you know Radha and Krishna are not married. And I don't want to discuss too much about that. Yes, we should. It is improper to have that discussion, but what you're telling is true. So we get the lower rate? Yes. And this is the sanskar of India.
Maharaj, honestly, I'm accompanying you today, and it's wonderful for us all to hear these stories. And I mean, not stories, leelas, pastimes.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, for us who lived there, we're just transported to that world of Gurudev's pastimes. Maharaj.
Then I asked Bhakti Lalita, who's Gurudev's personal secretary, if she will speak something.
Yeah.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaja Avirbhav Mahahotsav Titi Ki
Jai.
Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami. Such a beautiful name for such a beautiful personality, our beloved Gurudev. That name says it all. The favorite name of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj, Govinda, Sundar, Sundar Govinda.
And Rupa Goswami's deity is Govinda, and Govinda is the Prestalabi Sevya Manas Marami. So it's Govinda, 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 Govinda. Madhavan, it's Govinda.
Yeah. So, and Goswami, he's such from such a exalted family that come from the line of Nityananda, Prabhu, Virachandra, Janava Devi's line, the Parivar. And Gurudev used to reflect on his childhood, being very affectionate with his father, not so much with his mother. His father, Nitai Padadas Adhikari, and mother, Tarangini Devi. And Tarangini Devi would explain, like, of course we loved each other, but he was so naughty. You would not believe the things he would do. And she would be the disciplinarian of the family. She said, like, they just milk all the cows, and they have giant vats of pure milk, and Gurudev would go and urinate in them. And he wouldn't go to school. He'd spend the school days up in the trees, eating mangoes, throwing the mango seeds and skins at people walking by.
And they try and get him to come down from the tree, and he urinates on the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And when he couldn't avoid going to school on certain days, he would bring his father, Nitai Padadas Adhikari, to sing to the teacher and the students, and they'd pass all the time in song. So we have such wealth in our Gurudev, his beautiful pastimes from beginning to end.
But you know, just on this point, he would, we know what she's telling is the truth, but Gurudev would say that she was mean to him, right? So, like he'd be walking at the mat and his mom would be on the side, and he'd walk by her and not look at her, this kind of thing. So once, the mother's on the veranda, and and someone's saying these praises, and you are this, and they're saying all these things, and who would not recognize that you have all these great qualities? And he goes, not that dear lady. But he loved her too. Look how much he glorified her, but it was just like a mom-son kind of thing, so it's sweet.
When she wanted him to return, to take care of her and her two sons, Dhananjaya and Vishwarup, he joined the mat and wouldn't return, and sent the whole village to get him back, and he wouldn't come back. Then
and he held on to the bars of the window at the mat. They tried to pull him.
Yes, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, I will accept you and your whole family to come here and live and
there you
reside in the mat. And they all took initiation from Srila Sridhar Maharaj and stayed in the mat. Tarangini Devi Thakur Ma,
his brother
Vishwarup and Dhananjaya.
Yeah.
And they all took shelter of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, lived in the mat, and happily ever after. Gurudev's beautiful, auspicious form, so golden, and the long arms were, you would see when he'd walk, his arms were like elephant tusks, and his gait was extraordinary, and his auspicious form.
And also, it's hard to conceive of Gurudev without his lati. His stick, walking stick. And remember a devotee from Turkey or maybe it wasn't Turkish, but in Turkey, he made these beautiful canes. The best wood with silver and golden handles, like an elephant, And Gurudev accepted them and put them in the Elmira, and he showed that lati and said he paid something like 15 rupees for it in Jagannath Puri, and it went with him around the world 22 times or something. And he told me this much of it wore down. All of that. And when he'd leave the building, remember, he always like, so everyone, Govinda Maharaj, you know, and when he comes back, he's, and actually, he's letting you know that he's leaving or he's returning. And so you don't want to get caught like doing something really idiotic. And, you know, and he walks in on you.
And we remember his wonderful qualities, his humility, his tolerance and honor that he lived by 24/7, but also his humor, his deep love and affection for everyone all the time. We couldn't measure any of these beautiful qualities that he exemplified and was decorated with. And the pastimes we witnessed living with him as servitors are unlimited, even in our limited life and time we had with him. They're numerable, and I'm personally spending my days and nights reliving these times we had, and just amazed that he included us, the Malechas, the foreigners, the unqualified, the young, and the foolish.
Gurudev had so many cooks, but once in Vrindavan, he had you cook something. You cooked something and brought it to him. And when he received what Bhakti Lalita made, Gurudev said, Mercedes cooking. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Because he was very sick,
yeah.
And the doctor told him don't eat rice.
And that's like saying fast.
That was impossible. So
yeah.
I saw his cooks were making him rice.
Yeah.
So I went to make some vegetable stew, something to replace the rice. And I brought it to him. It happened to be like 50 degrees Celsius that day.
Yeah.
In the hot Vrindavan kitchen.
Yes.
And I brought him what I cooked, and then I left the room and fainted. I woke up with Bengali devotees fanning me back to consciousness.
That's hot.
But he gave us so many opportunities to serve him, and included us like affectionate children and loved ones, and eating out of his bowls and traveling with him.
Roma, come here.
And in this way,
come here.
Blessed
Roma,
us with his personal
you come
association. To me. So I remember just one story when in Koikali, our temple was always hosting Gurudev, and they'd make little excuses to host Srila Gurudev in Koikali. And one particular time,
and Vijay next.
They bought a fridge, a refrigerator, and they decided this is a reason for a celebration. We bought a fridge in the temple. Maybe Madhusudan Maharaj came from Navadvip to join us sometimes. So the new fridge is there, we got to have a festival, invite Gurudev and all the devotees, and we went and had the festival. And we noticed there was one wala who set up shop in front of our mat, kind of blocking the entrance. And Gurudev asked him to go, and he didn't go. So we came back the next day specifically, Siddhanti Maharaj, a whole full Tata Sumo of devotees with Gurudev. We went to dismantle this man's hotel. It was like a little
hotel
restaurant.
Means restaurant in India.
It was made out of bamboo and cloth.
A little roadside restaurant, cafe without coffee.
So we went back the next day.
And dismantled it.
And Gurudev said, we're here to take apart your hotel. And you didn't respect our request to move, so
Right.
get it. And Siddhanta Maharaj was shaking the bamboo and hitting the tables in the restaurant. And then this man respectfully just dismantled his whole shop in front of Gurudev and cleared the entrance. So one of many wonderful adventures with Gurudev, wanting everything in the mission to be clean and clear and protecting in all circumstances. So this is a wonderful day for us. We celebrate with flowers, with love, with tears, with offerings, and together with all the devotees from all over the world. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai. Bijay Raman Prabhu, the father of the Russian mission.
Но вот за эти 2 часа карикатхи я смог прожить всю свою деятельность в сознании Кришны за 30 лет. Когда вы вспоминали о Гурудеве, о Шридхари Махарадже.
Are you going to translate like a sentence at a time? Or are you just going to, how are we going to do this? Paramananda, can you translate what he's saying?
Ну, предложения таковы, что я смог вспомнить, как вспоминают всегда рождение любого ребенка, детей. Я вспомнил, как рождалась наша миссия.
And I remember, just like I remember when the child is born, how
Русская
our
миссия.
mission, our Russian mission was born.
Это прошло уже 30 лет.
30
Со дня
years have
рождения.
passed from the moment
А может
of
быть
the
и
birth
больше.
of the Russian
Я
mission.
помню вот это. Петербург,
Yay, Hare Krishna.
Москва. Я помню, как мы приехали в Москву с Авадутом Махарадж. Встали на Красной площади. И не знаем, куда нам идти, в какую сторону.
And I still remember how I came back to Moscow because all the Russians
Но
in the
милость
States,
Гурудева,
From
она
New York.
милее.
came to Moscow, they're standing in the
Милость.
middle of the Red Square, and they're thinking, what shall we do and where shall we go?
Все начиналось с Красной площади.
So it's all started in the Red Square.
Ну, потому что мы проживали в России, коммунисты были. Почему-то оттуда все пути.
Yeah, but the aurora is docked in Petersburg.
Yes.
Translate what I'm saying.
Aurora, в Петербурге.
Да.
That comes later.
Последние свои годы пребывания в материальной жизни я каждый день мог смотреть на Аврору. Я работал в гостинице Санкт-Петербург.
So at some point in his life, Vijayanath was working in the St. Petersburg Hotel. He was the chief of the
Yeah.
Это вот из окон.
Chef.
Every chef, every day he would see Aurora.
Aha.
Да. И я как раз занимался встречами всех высших людей, которые приезжали в гости. Им всегда показывали Аврору, как она стрельнула. И показывали весь этот ландшафт. Нева, летний сад.
So I was responsible for greetings and meeting all the VIP people, and of course,
Но
the
пришло время.
Aurora, where did Aurora shoot, all the landscape drawings.
Но пришло время перестройки.
For the people listening who don't know, that's where the Russian Revolution began. Just to tell them.
Пришло время перестройки, я положил партийные билеты на стол, говорю, ребята, я больше не ваш. Я ухожу. Есть свобода действий.
So when the perestroika started, I put the party ticket or whatever, the party passport on the table and said, I have enough.
И стал с тех пор я вольно мыслить,
And I started thinking freely
как я хотел.
that very moment, and I always wanted to do that.
Ну,
Ага.
время шло. А вот тут Махарадж служил в армии, Сати служил в армии. У меня была возможность их послать в Америку.
And at that time, Avadut Maharaj and Sati Sundar finished their military service. And we had
Yeah.
a chance to send them to
Вот,
the United States.
оттуда в отход Махарадж
So it
начал
was his
собирать.
idea that they go to America?
Была твоя идея, которая там
Ну, не моя идея. Я думаю, что это идея Всевышнего была.
Well, not exactly.
Well,
Because of
but they're
divine
all
Да. Так складывались
Simultaneously, the three of them
обстоятельства.
realized.
Потому что у меня был мой брат там в Америке.
His brother was in the United States at that time.
Yuri.
He was thinking.
Юрий, да.
Юрий
Но с этого
Жучав
все
also.
началось. Приехали, Брайтон, прошли сначала
Brighton Beach.
одну религию, другую
those-
религию.
First Brighton did.
Yeah, because for those that don't know, Brighton Beach in New York, it's like Russia. Everyone speaks Russian, all the shops are Russian, the newspapers are in Russian, and all the Russians live there.
Первая проповедь от Деватхута была еврейскому населению, там еврейское население.
They also have a place there they call Little
И произошли
Odessa.
первые
Yes,
стычки. Первые стычки, первые драки там произошли.
So this is when it started happening.
Uh-huh.
I started preaching to the Jewish community, and that's
Yes.
Little Odessa.
Yes. Because they say any Ukrainian
Right.
girl who knows how to make those samosas, whatever they are,
Piroshki.
yeah, that they can get her employment. So if she knows nothing, but she knows how to make those, she'll get a job.
Потом он получил, нашел Гурудева через преданных таких, очень популярных в то время. Ананта Шахти, по-моему.
Ananta, you mean Anand Shanti?
Да.
What about him?
He met with Srila Govinda Maharaj through some devotees who were quite,
Мы ходили в Искон,
quite prominent, popular devotees. at
ходили
that
в
time.
Искон, пытались что-то там в Исконе найти.
So they were going to
Ну,
for
один из
ISKCON
преданных
programs,
сказал,
they were
подожди,
trying to find something.
приедет Говинда Махарадж в Калифорнию,
And then one devotee said, I think it was one of the Prabhupada disciples, whom I don't remember how he was mentioning, he said,
Я
"Please,
рекомендую
wait
тебе
till
встретиться."
Govinda Maharaj comes to California and you just must go and see that scene. So wait till he comes and you see, and then you go and visit him.
But Govinda Maharaj was in Detroit.
He was going to California.
Oh, okay, maybe on his way or something. But by the way, once we were having a meeting in Kiselni with Anand Shanti Prabhu, and so I met when I went to Russia in 1978, right? And met with it. That's a whole other story we're not going to get into now. But so we're together after so long, you know, because he would be the one I would go to be with. So Avadut wants to introduce him to the people at Kiselni, and he goes, and he's telling the story about Goswami Maharaj and Anand Shanti, they were together, you know, and then he says, Anand Shanti, he's the first Russian disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And Anand Shanti goes, that's not true. And everyone goes, you're not? He goes, no, I am the only Russian disciple of Srila Prabhupada. But continue.
Ну и мы помним вашу историю, как вы впервые попали в Санкт-Петербург. Это все шли какие-то такие перекрестные наши планы наших учителей Гурудева.
Well, he's also remembering how you came for the first time to visit St. Petersburg. So we're just following what was already designed and destined to happen by our
Yes,
divine Guru.
because Gurudev told Avadut Maharaj, preach about Guru Maharaj in Russia. Right? Translate what I'm saying. And so, yeah, you're translating to him, right?
Ну, у меня даже
So that meant Sri Guru and His Grace. So Avadut Maharaj sent to Vijay in Petersburg the Sri Guru and His Grace and said, get this translated, right? Which he did. So Vijay arranged for Sri Guru and His Grace to be translated. And I just want to add this one little part. So when I come back to Russia in 2000, last time I was there was 1978, I come back in 2000, I arrive in Moscow, there's some visa screw up. So I'm allowed to go to Avtozavodskaya for one night, right? So I go there and I'm looking at the sky, I'm thinking about this, 22 years or whatever it is. And then my next flight is to Kiev in Ukraine the next morning. So I preach in Avtozavodskaya that night, and then I go to Kiev. And when I say, imagine, I was there in 1978 saying, we're yoga teachers on our world tour, and we're preaching some very basic, generic Krishna consciousness. And after Zabotsky in Kiev, I asked people, are there any questions? And they say to me, in Sri Guru and His Grace, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, and then they ask me a question. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's happened.
Да. Вот этот перевод делали преданные из Искона. И у меня были кое-какие такие знакомства в Исконе. Я эту книгу в Исконе раздавал так из-под полы своим знакомым, чтобы не побили, потому что эта книга Шридхара.
The first translation of Sri Guru His Grace was done by the ISKCON devotees, which are had some connections there.
Yeah.
So he took the first books of Sri Guru His Grace, and he went and he was giving it secretly to all the ISKCON devotees.
Yeah.
И вот в России эта книга Шри Гуру и убилась, вот именно попала через такой сложный путь, и в Исконе начали тоже, так сказать, крутить головой вокруг. Как же так? Почему мы не знали такую книгу раньше?
So then the ISKCON devotees they started thinking, oh, why didn't we didn't hear anything like that before?
Mm-hmm.
Ну, можно много интересных говорить таких историй. Я могу только сказать, что милость Гурудева, она до сих пор чувствуется. Даже пребывая здесь, в Таиланде, мы никогда не представляли эти планы, что вдруг мы будем сидеть, земля своя, храм, русские и другие люди здесь.
And we could never conceive even now. I mean, we can feel mercy of Gurudev flowing. Right now in Thailand, we're sitting here. We have our own place, our own temple. How inconceivable is that? So we came by the grace of Govinda.
That's right. And remember, that deity of Mahaprabhu, he came from the heart of Srila Gurudev. Right? And this temple that we're in now, remember, we wanted to make a temple in Avadut Maharaj, and he had a concept of what it should be like. And so he had Pavan Krishna Prabhu make a drawing and you know, right? A drawing, that's what. So,
Sketch.
a sketch of what it should be like. Then, Paramananda Prabhu was commissioned by Avadut Maharaj to build it. But Krishna Priya Deity, she collected all the money to build this temple that we're in right now. And when we were looking at this part here, you see we're indentation. Avadut Maharaj said at that time, we should make it in such a way that in the future, if the big deities come, we'll be able to transition easily to that. So don't just think in terms of Giriraj Govardhan, who's always our deity, and this is Gupta Govardhan. But he said, we should design this in such a way. You see where the railing is? You see that railing? That it will come out and there will be a, what do you call it? A structure with doors and everything like you have in Lakta, which Pavan Krishna has already made. It's at Govinda farm, waiting to come here and be installed for the deity. It's beautiful. So Avadut Maharaj, he thought of that 10 years ago when we were here making this. So he and he had the idea, Pavan did the sketches, Paramananda Prabhu did the construction, and Krishna Priya Deity collected donations from all over, Thailand and Malaysia and
Almost 100 people.
Right, from 100 different people. They paid to build, they thought, they want to be part of it. Remember, Saraswati Thakur said to build the Bhagavazar Gaudiya Math, I want 100,000, he basically said, I want $1 million. So the word went out, Prabhupada wants $1 million to build a temple. And so one disciple gave $3 million. And all the devotees were happy. And they said, Prabhupada, you asked for $1 million, but Jagabandhu Prabhu, he gave 3 million. You know, and Saraswati Thakur said, that's not what I wanted though. They go, what do you mean? 3 million? That's 3 times 1 million. He said, no, I wanted 1 million people to give $1. So 1 million people would get Sukriti. Now Jagabandhu, he took all the mercy for himself. Right? So Krishna Priya, like over 100 people gave cash money, to build this temple. But Avadut Maharaj saw into the future, do it like this because it'll have to come out to receive the big deities.
И вот я могу еще раз сказать, очень интересное такое время пришло, период, сейчас у нас война с Украиной, мы попытались проводить перед этой войной фестивали, и уже 30 лет прошло, и нас как-то так немножко отодвигали, все, кришнаиты и кришнаиты. А в этом году наша администрация района прислала нам такое письмо, молодцы, спасибо, вы развиваете связи с Индией и прочее, то есть от нас все отвернулись, кроме Индии, все государства.
Now entered a very difficult time now, as you know, there was a war in Russia, and over the years the government always downplay our role in the society.
Yeah.
Crazy Hare Krishnas.
Мы к этому шли 30 лет.
A letter from local government saying thank you very much for developing and maintaining these connections with India. We're very grateful for all the festivals, all the activities.
И что мы в консульство с консулами знакомы, консулы к нам приезжают, мы в консульство, они увидели вот эту всю связь, и такие дифирамбы начали петь, что вы молодцы, продолжайте, мы вам поможем. Никогда не было, 30 лет мы всякие фестивали проводили.
This had never happened in 30 years, so now suddenly they're singing our glories, they're pledging themselves to help us.
Wow.
And that's the local government.
Да, это радует, потому что как бы обратили на нас внимание. Я не хочу хвастаться этим, но я переживал другие моменты, когда нас пытались и закрывать, и полиция, и милиция, вот эти закон Яровой, что закрыть все миссии и прочее. Мы там организовали какую-то группу.
So many different difficulties we had to face with the government, with the new law, with the police, and lots of disturbance coming from that part.
Но как-то все милость гуру, она беспричинна, но все время под этой милостью ходит.
Because this inconceivable mercy of Guru, Srila Gurudev.
And I want to say something too, that, so, we know Srila Gurudev, how many times did he go to Russia?
More than that.
Right. So, but the last few times, he didn't go to Moscow. And so when we'd be in Calcutta, and the tour is coming to go to Russia, like people would say, so are you going to go to Russia now? And go, no, I'm not. No, we heard you going. He goes, no, I'm going to be with Vijay Raman Prabhu. Someone say, so you're going to go with Avadut? No, I'm not going. No, but we heard, no, I'm not. I'm going to be with Vijay Raman Prabhu. I will be with him. And that kiosk outside, that's the word, right? Or something, whatever, there's another name. Yeah, the gazebo. And it looks on the Finnish Bay. That was Gurudev's favorite place to be, and he would sit there, and the water's coming in and out. And that's where he said that when Mahaprabhu took the body of Haridas Thakur and bathed him in the Indian Ocean, that ocean touched the next one, the next one, the next one, and he said, and even this one. So these waters are divine and purifying. If you bathe in them, you'll get that grace from Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur. He said that sitting in the gazebo outside the temple of Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Madhava Sundarjiu in Petersburg.
И проходя все эти трудности, эти трудности настолько укрепили, вдохновили, и мы дальше будем идти. Несмотря, что у нас произойдет, война, там не война с Украиной, но все равно мы будем продолжать свою миссию. Проповедь. И сейчас это очень сказывается. И сейчас очень сказывается, совсем другой контингент пошел. Более взрослые, более интеллигентные люди пошли. И нам приятно. Я могу один пример привести. Были на фестивале йоги. Я познакомился там, меня познакомили с женщиной, в возрасте такая. Она говорит, я христианка. Я говорю, я тоже когда-то был христианин. Вот у меня умерла мама, вот буквально там месяц тому назад. И я не могу найти ответ у христиан, у проповедников христианских. Что дальше-то? Душа вечна. а тело бренно. Вот они мне отвечают. Ну хорошо. А она занимает пост режиссер большого театра нашего петербургского. Режиссер, она очень такая интеллигентная женщина. Я говорю, ну, приходите к нам в храм, мы постараемся вам объяснить, куда душа уходит. Когда она пришла к нам в храм, и мы показали наше последнее кино, да, «Путь йога»,
Yeah, I'm just listening. It's a whole story. So I have to
Yeah.
rest.
она вышла и сказала, вот это все ясно, теперь я знаю, что чего. А фильм длится 15 минут. За 15 минут она осознала, куда может душа улететь.
And in short, the people who are coming, joining right now, they're more mature, more educated. So we just got a director from the Большой Theater.
Yes.
И она режиссер
Yes.
там в этом театре.
Yeah, so, кто у нее?
Мама.
A mother, her mother passed away. And she said, I was trying to find some comfort, some explanation about what happens with the soul once the soul passes. But I couldn't find anything in Christianity. So,
Uh-huh.
do you have any
Uh-huh.
explanation in Hare Krishna
Yeah.
movement? And Jayamal Prabhu said, yes, you please come to us, come
Yeah.
and visit our temple in Lakta. So when she came, we showed her the journey of the yogi.
Yes.
It's a short film.
Yes,
with,
yeah. Like Atmagyan.
15 minutes, and then in 15 minutes she got all her answers.
Yeah.
Sorry, all her questions answered.
Yeah. And she's
Есть
from the
такая
Bolshoi.
пословица, лучше один раз
It's one of the
увидеть, чем
directions.
100
Yeah.
раз услышать.
Right.
It's better.
And I say this too. Srila Gurudev, he really wanted to see snow, in his lifetime.
Да.
So he's in Petersburg, and it's like October. It's before the snow comes, and the next day he's going to leave. I go, well, Maharaj looks like he's saying, oh, the wills of Krishna, And that evening, before he's departing, it starts snowing.
За день до отъезда.
outside
За
his
день до
window.
отъезда.
And so we swung open those Euro thing, you swing open the window, and Gurudev's, and the snow's coming down and melting on his hand, and see the snow on the ground. He said they made a little snowman. I swear, it was a miracle.
And,
It was not supposed to snow at that time.
and Gurudev added it to his collection of miracles.
Right, yes. So his desire was fulfilled, I think, by Vijay Raman, Avadut Maharaj, and all the devotees wanting Gurudev to have that experience. And we know the deities there, they have snow outfits, like the Tsar and the Tsarina. I don't know if they have skates. But,
Come back.
Все наши русские преданные по милости Гуру присутствуют здесь. Гурудева.
All of the
Они
Russian
получили.
devotees here are here by the grace of Srila Gurudev.
Yes.
А вот тут Махарадж руководит миссией. Я думаю, что мы будем и дальше развиваться, укреплять, дружить, творить, дерзать. То, что он встал на такой путь, там как бы больше шоу. Это не шоу, это проповедь. Время меняется. Сегодня слова, они очень в одно ухо вылетело, в другое вылетело. А когда человек посмотрел шоу, он призадумался, понял, ага, что-то есть. Мы же привыкли, век такой сегодня вот. Компьютерная вот эта вся графика, шоу и прочее. Только правильно нужно вовремя.
Jayamal Prabhu is explaining that we will continue preaching all together in a very friendly manner.
Yeah.
Sometimes Avadut Maharaj's styles of preaching are very
Innovative.
Yes, innovative.
Сейчас
So
на
we
Гавардхане
can
стоит.
talk to people, and then the words will enter one ear and exit another.
Yeah.
But when they see something, they will leave some impression.
Yeah.
Сегодня они празднуют день явления Гурудева на Гавардхане. Сегодня там стоит купол. Придут много людей, посмотрят, много чего можно показать.
So today they're celebrating.
Сейчас у нас планы есть в Джаганатхапуре поставить.
In Govardhan, the original.
The Jagannath Dome.
Is in Govardhan.
Yes.
And,
People will come.
Yeah.
See
В
something.
Джаганатхапуре будет большой праздник, фестиваль. Такой культурный фестиваль будет в январе месяце. Уже договорились, что там будет стоять сфера. Прямо у храма Гундича. Прямо вот.
And the next festival is land in Jagannath Puri, nearby the Gundicha temple. It's going to be. Что за фестиваль?
Поставим туда.
Что за фестиваль?
Ну, культуры Индии, это не два
It's the culture of India, or cultural Indian festival in Jagannath Puri. So we will also some participation, some presence there.
Нужно показать наше творчество. Я думаю, что никто. Искон существует, у них есть и эти купола, и фестивали, но у них такого контента нет. Они еще, ну, придут к этому, конечно. Я не говорю, что они слабаки, нет. Но мы немножко... Хорошо, окей, я заканчиваю. Милость гуру, она беспричинна. Я не знаю, почему я оказался здесь в это время. Еще один шаг, что у меня паспорт заканчивается зарубежный, и никто ни в Индии, нигде. И вдруг мне говорят, что ты вот здесь, в этом государстве можешь получить. Я подал документы, и 5-летний план мне Гурудев уже еще 5 лет отпустил в моей творческой жизни.
Dharma wasn't planning to come actually because his passport was getting expired, but then he thought, well, where should I go to extend my passport? And it was the only country where you could still do it. So he already applied for the extension, and they're going to do it for you. But otherwise it's impossible, you have to go back. Again, it is happening by will and by universal
А больше и не надо, я так думаю.
Hare Krishna. And you are with the
А?
prominently Russian-speaking family, with only one or two who cannot speak. You learn Russian, you're 90. Hare Krishna. So Maharaj is going to come back in a minute or two. But Maharaj said, now Paramananda Prabhu can please say a few words, and it is Srila Gurudev's Disciples' Day, I mean, for sharing so much. And Paramananda Prabhu can give us some insight also, or some share what you like
I'm
to.
very happy to sit and listen. And as I mentioned before, every time in front of, especially on the day of Vyasa Puja of Srila Govinda Maharaj, I'm usually at loss of words. I don't know what to say. I want to say many things, and when I'm listening to all the devotees, I just forget about everything. But something caught my mind. I just remember the talk of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and every one of us remember how Srila Govinda Maharaj joined Guru Maharaj, came into Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. And he's giving this talk, and he's giving this short summary, how it all happened. All his life he's summarizing. And he said that Brahmachari came, and he was so convincing that suddenly I had this burning desire to follow him, to go to that place he's talking about, to meet that sadhu. And I was in so much hurry and with so much resolution that I even forgot my favorite things. And he's saying what things he forgot. My favorite shoes. I forgot my favorite shoes. I forgot my notebook. And said I had a notebook where I was writing the songs that touched my heart. And I even forgot the pencil, and the pencil was my best friend, because I was really, these few things were very precious. And I went there, I swam across the road. And then when I saw Srila Guru Maharaj, for the next 6 months, I was floating in bliss. And then his humility and humor, he says, I'm not sure about how Guru Maharaj felt about me, but I was in a bliss. And then he said, some difficulties came a little bit later when I started practicing and fulfilling Srila Guru Maharaj's request not to follow your mind, follow me, follow what I say. And then Srila Govinda Maharaj is saying, and then one day I became Govinda Maharaj. And then in no time I realized that Sri Chaitanya, by the grace, he said, by the grace of Guru Maharaj, I came to realize that Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math is Govinda Maharaj. This is his own words. And Govinda Maharaj is Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. In the sense that Guru Maharaj delegated everything about taking care of the devotees, taking care of the deities, taking care of the Math to Srila Govinda Maharaj.
This is long ago. This is
Yes.
in the late 40s and 50s. Yes.
And then he is saying that Guru Maharaj's godbrothers, when they would come at the gate of the Math, the first thing they will say, Jai Shaparikara Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundarji Ki Jai. And then they say, Oh Govinda Maharaj, oh Govinda Maharaj. And then Govinda Maharaj said, every time Jajavar Maharaj, Keshav Maharaj, Madhav Maharaj comes, all call, oh Govinda Maharaj. And then he added, Tajinam Samarchanam. They know that I was very dear to Guru Maharaj, to capture the heart and attention of Guru Maharaj. They know very well what to do, and they're calling, oh Govinda Maharaj. So really, and then Srila Govinda Maharaj said, but all the time, and he's saying, I admit to myself that all the time, I tried and I did maintain the mentality of the servitor of the Guru Maharaj's servitors. This was my mentality through all my seva time. And really, this is Govinda Maharaj. This is how he is remembered as a servitor of the servitors of Guru Maharaj. Not serving Guru Maharaj directly, in doing that as well, but also making sure that all the residents of the mat, all the guests, dignitary guests, new guests, not so dignitary guests, he calls them child devotees and principal devotees. They would get nourishment, they would get attention.
We also were listening to a recording a few days ago where very end of Srila Gurudev's manifest pastimes, he's saying about so many devotees and by their fortune they're in such whatever position they may be in, but I consider them all as devotees and I only want to serve them. So from beginning to end, that mood that we are the servant of the Vaishnavas.
And since you described how sweet the whole Vyasa Puja, and of course there's a ceremonial part to Vyasa Puja, must do, no doubt. And then there's the sweet part to Vyasa Puja, when devotees gathering, like we were talking today, in the morning before the Vyasa Puja, spending some time, the night before with Govinda Maharaj. So, and how it is a birthday kind of celebration, like a very sweet way. So, and I told that story before, but usually I would call Govinda Maharaj on the Vyasa Puja day early in the morning before the whole thing starts. And I would express my appreciation. And then the last, 2009, his last Vyasa Puja, I did not call because I heard he is not feeling well. And really I
disturbed him.
I didn't want to disturb him. And then 4 days later, my phone rings and I'm seeing this is Mahananda. I have that recorded. Mahananda is calling and I'm thinking, I'm already suspecting I'm probably in trouble. I know what I didn't do. And then, of course, I'm picking up the phone and then Mahananda Prabhu is saying, here is Govinda Maharaj. That's all he says. Okay, and Gurudev is there, he starts like that. He said, Prabhu, I've been waiting, but no phone call coming. Now, what do you say? And I was so shocked, and I was completely lost, didn't know what to say. And then I said, the stupidest thing, I said, Gurudev, I don't know what to say. And then he just started laughing. He said, Prabhu, I know what you can say. I said, yes, Gurudev. Happy birthday, Gurudev. So, yes, Gurudev, I can say that. Happy birthday, Gurudev. So really, I mean, where else?
He would call it that, right? He wouldn't say my Vyasa, he'd say my birthday is coming. Like, out of his humility. He didn't want to say appearance day.
And just the last thing, because really the time is, we're already 2.5 hours. Wonderful. Go on more. But just one thing, when Goswami Maharaj said, we will trying not to get caught in some kind of a idiotic situation.
Yes.
So we were playing, we needed some exercise. The house is full. Govinda Maharaj is there, especially last time he stayed for more than 2 months. So lots of devotees, 30 devotees any given time. So they needed some exercise. So we started playing badminton and tennis, and Krishna Priya is really good at it. But we also got Yadumanya Prabhu and Shrila Prabhu were very competitive on one side. And then we got Shugi, Shrila Shatrughna Prabhu, Shrila Prabhu's son, and Krishna Priya on another side. And the beat, Yadumanya and Shrila badly left them no chance. I was almost
they
crying.
Didn't let them save face.
Mercilessly, especially Krishna Priya. And then they started saying things. They were very disappointed. I was throwing the tennis, a badminton racket on the ground, walking away, and then we're hearing this laugh. And we're looking at the balcony, and there's Govinda Maharaj. All that time, while we were playing, a little fighting and showing disappointment, he was there and he was just laughing.
And
at
they
all
had
of
badminton little setup at the mosque.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, because there was there's 2 sisters Gayatri and Malati. And Malati, let's say, Gayatri was like the thin one of the two, and Malati was getting bigger. Like I said about the things they will say, you won't say, and like a girl comes on the ground and they go like, "Oh, you're looking very fatty." So she became very fatty. And like Guru Maharaj, I don't know if he was just putting her on or it was true, but like Guru Maharaj was sitting in his chair and she came, they would go and collect from America and come back. And Guru Maharaj said to her, he said, "I am looking at you and I only see a body and no face." So then they realized she had become really universal. So Guru Maharaj and Govinda, they allowed them to have a little badminton net set up and to play that for exercise to get some movement. It was right there outside of...
Behind the lady's house.
Behind the lady's house. So it was authorized.
And also kind of missed a little bit, we did not emphasize Gurudev's mystic powers, and so many stories connected to that, but we can shortly mention that.
Yeah.
And the fact that this temple manifested in Chiang Mai, that was 100% envisioned, foretold, 3 times repeated that it's going to happen. We had no plans whatsoever. Krishna Priya is here to conform, Srila Srila Prabhu is not here to conform. He is saying, confirming from above. So really that happened, and then by the grace of Madhusudan Maharaj, he posted some personal recollections, actually a speech of Nayanananda Das Babaji, Guru Maharaj's god brother.
He was Satish Prabhu.
Satish Prabhu.
He helped Guru Maharaj clear the original Mat land to turn it, it was jungle.
Yes. So it was probably the time when Guru Maharaj is appointing Govinda Maharaj as the next Acharya. So he's praising Govinda Maharaj. He's just remembering some mystical occurrences that happened in his life and his interactions with Govinda Maharaj. And one of them is that he said that when I heard Guru Maharaj is going to announce the succession, I came to Guru Maharaj and we talked about Govinda Maharaj and I praised him and I asked Guru Maharaj, what is his education? And Guru Maharaj said, he has no education, like no formal education. That's just a school, elementary school. And then Nayanananda Das Babaji says that no, he must get education. You know how in India you got to be a lawyer or a head principal of the school or this and that. And then Guru Maharaj said, but he would not study. I tried, he would not study. And then he's saying, then I thought I must do it. I must give him a proper education. I must hire the best teacher that is available. So I did that. And still he wouldn't. And then I observed something wonderful. It came to me. He said that actually, by his birth, he is the Vag Siddha. He came with he already a perfected living being. His speech is perfect, his thinking is perfect, his expression of his thoughts are perfect. And then I just withdrew, I understand who is in front of me. I did not realize his quality. And then he says, my mother got really sick one time. And seeing how he cured Guru Maharaj, I'm asking Govinda Maharaj, you please, can you look what is happening with my mother? Can you give some medicine? Medication. Then Govinda Maharaj came to me and said, yes, I know what it is and I know the medication, but unfortunately the bottle is empty. There is nothing left in there. But I'm telling you what, take this bottle, fill it with water, give it to your mother. And then Nayanananda Das Babaji Maharaj saying, she took that water from the empty bottle, medicine bottle. She was completely cured in no time. It was another miracle.
Because also he knows it's homeopathic medicine, so there's some amount in there. So by adding water, it's just increased its potency. And on this point, you're saying it's very true. We're in Switzerland with Srila Gurudev, and he was invited for like, it was a Kadashi, I just remember, and it was like a luncheon dinner at the Ramakrishna Mission Institute. And it's a very beautiful looking place, affluent, and and there's this Indian Swami there who was in charge of it. And he was so proud of it. He kept saying how he was the only Swami in Switzerland. And he kept talking about his qualifications. And he had a PhD in this, and he had a master's in that, and he went he told, like, he just kept talking about himself as the program began, and after totally glorifying himself and saying how qualified he was, how educated he was, and how important and how unique he was, and then he said, and now I give you the Govinda Maharaja, so, you know, yeah. And then Gurudev began, he said, I have no qualifications. So this man just said how qualified. I'm a village boy. I did not finish school, so to speak of high school, college. I'm not university. I have no such thing. I'm unqualified in every way imaginable. But my Guru Maharaj is qualified. And he was merciful to me. And each time he'd say something, he'd quote a Sanskrit sloka. Like first a little one, then like a bigger one. And every time he'd say then he'd end up like another sloka, and they're just like, they're getting bigger, more profound, more complex, more, and this man is like, he's starting to like shake and melt simultaneously at the same time. The Guru is saying,